Upgrades.
Welcome back to another JVS movie review. Today, I'm reviewing a horror movie that is so bad that it's still kind of entertaining. That's the best way to describe this one. And this one is Terror, and it is directed by Spenser Cohen and Anne Halberg. These are their directorial debuts here. And it stars Harriet Spenser, Jacob Batalon, and Adain Bradley. And here's a quick synopsis. When a group of friends recklessly violate the scarce rule of a terror reading, they are unknowingly unleashing an unspeakable evil trapped within the cursed cards. One by one, they come face to face with their fate and end up in a race against death. So, I started off by saying that this movie is so bad, it's entertaining. First, Terror is just reminiscent of every bad horror movie in the 90s. If you like the Urban Legend franchise, which is one that really comes to mind immediately as a comparison to this film, if you like that franchise, I think you'll absolutely love this film. This film makes absolutely no sense, and it makes literally absolutely no sense from the onset of it, as we're introduced to these group of friends who are at this Airbnb, and they're just talking about life, having a lot of fun. They run out of beer and decide that they need to ramshack this Airbnb that they're renting to try to find alcohol, because it has to be hidden in the house somewhere. And they break into a room that says, "Keep out, do not enter," and then happen to come across the creepiest setting humanly possible with tarot cards. And happen, just perhaps, one of them is someone who knows how to read the cards and decides to give everyone their reading. At that point, you kind of know what you're getting into with this film. It's as predictable as humanly possible that right after the reading, that everyone will have to have a challenge of some form based off of their reading. It's nothing new, nothing surprising, almost nothing even good in this film. But again, it is a horror film that is so bad that is entertaining. It has those key elements of the late 90s, early 2000 horror films where we were just bombarded with films just to amp up the jump scares, along with, at times, the gore, just to keep you intrigued in it. And Terror is no different than those type of films. Again, I said Urban Legend. I can go to Black Christmas remake. I could go to the Ouija movie, not the good one, which is The Origin of Evil. That was the second one where they completely changed everything from what they did in the first film. But that first film and Terror has a lot in common with each other, as unfortunately they make the teens extremely dispensable. None of them are interesting. You're not going to care about anyone's storyline here. All you're here for is to see if the deaths match the excitement or the premise of the film, I should say. That's all you're tuned in to Terror for, is to see if that happens. And if that's what you're going into it for, and if you are a horror movie fan of this genre of horror film, which is the supernatural gore type of horror film, if you're a fan of this type, I think that this film will intrigue you, and it has enough interesting kills and interesting setups that it can keep you like just pushing through the rest of the film, through some of the worst CGI humanly possible you're going to see, and some of the worst plot holes and plot points you will ever see in a film is in this one here. This is in no stretch of the imagination is this film even written well or particularly acted well. I think that none of the cast is given anything to really do in this film. It literally is set up for bodies. That's it. That's what they've set this film up for. Is, hey, we're going to put these kids here, these late 20-ish kids that's going to play high school to college age children. We're going to put them in here, and we're going to give them the most simplistic plot in the world just so they can be bodies for this unstoppable spirit that must come about in this film. And you kind of want more, because we understand that in the horror genre that we are in now, with the volume of successful horror films that are coming out, that you would assume that you can afford to take a risk, especially on these lower budgeted films, to actually give the audience something different. But here with Tarot, I don't think they wanted to give anything different. I think the main purpose of it was to tap into that so bad that it's good horror market, that we don't get anymore. And if that was the goal, I think they hit it in spades. If they thought they were doing something extra special with this film, which I don't see how that's humanly possible, then touche. Like you, like if you thought you were doing something extra special with it, you wasn't. This movie is as close to being unwatchable as humanly possible. The saving grace is that the teenagers here are extremely stupid, and it makes for an easy watch. Like you kind of know the premise of the film, and you're hoping, are you watching it? The characters catch on to the premise of it, which is you had a tarot reading, and if you do exactly what the tarot reading said, you're gonna die. And it's kind of sad that that's never fleshed out exactly how to beat that type of system. Instead, we just get a film that just decides to rack body on body on body, and then by the time you get to the third act of so many bodies, and a mysterious old person, because in these type of horror movies, mysterious old people that tend to know everything are always a delight in these movies, and this movie is no different, as we have a mysterious old woman who knows all about tarot cards and readings and how these cards are evil. It's a thing. It's like Insidious, but so much worse. As she's explaining what these cards are, but just because of that, you're still wanting the teenagers, to pick up on what's happening here. It's the easiest thing in the world for them to pick up on, and they never do it, and it gets frustrating as you're watching this film, and the characters just lack intelligence, just any self-awareness about what's happening. That, again, if you're not a fan of this type of horror film, I think it can completely take you out of the movie. But again, if you're a fan of it, if you're a fan of gore, if you're a fan of jump scares set up horribly, which that is literally a thing for some people in horror movies, that they love it when jump scares are set up horribly. Like, this movie does all of that, down to giving you possibly one of the worst third acts you're going to ever see, with an ending that not only will you not see coming, it will not be explained to you, and it will leave you frustrated. Like, that is all with this film here. But Tarot, which is currently still showing in theaters, and it is on VOD if you want to check it out at home. Out of a possible 10, I am going to give this film a 4 out of 10. It still has elements enough of it for me as a horror movie lover that I can watch this film. This is a perfect background noise type of horror film for me. But if you're expecting anything smart, any character to have any remnants of a development in the film, this film is not for you. Again, the third act is so frustrating, and the ending is one of the worst endings I've seen in a horror film, because they don't explain anything, and most horror films don't explain their endings, but it's kind of cut, dry, and simple what happened. Here, you have the slightest idea what's going on, and it just leaves you so frustrated. And it's not like it sets up a sequel. It literally just ends, and then you're stuck wondering, as I was, like, wait a minute, maybe we'll get something on an end credit scene or something. Nothing of that nature. It's just so frustrating the way this film ends. But check it out. Let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.